Welcome back to another week of Procrastination Garage. My name is Matt. Not sure what we have in store for this week, but it'll be something. We've always got projects to do, so we'll just jump right into it. How long does a washing machine have to sit out on the patio before you are considered a hillbilly? I think I've met the requirement. It's been out here about 2 months now. So here's the deal. Washer and dryer set bought from Montgomery Ward. See, that's how long ago it was. About 1996, 97. Has served us faithfully. Did have to rebuild the dryer once. Anyway, one day there was a smell of smoke inside the house. Smelled electrical. We traced it to the washer. So I moved the washer and dryer out, put a different one in that we had on hand. And now the question is, can we fix this one, or is it time to just send it off to the dump or down the road or whatever? So let's look into it. It's been quite a few years since I was inside of a washer, so I don't recall exactly how to get in there, but I do recall that a couple of screwdrivers is probably about all I need. One Phillips, one flat. Let's see what that gets us. Prying on the edges. Got the lid up. Remember that. Now, to get the front panel off, it looks like it, you can see that. It just has some little tabs. And I noticed there's a couple screws down here at the bottom. So we'll pull the screws and the front panel should come right. I removed the 2 screws from the bottom. And then I put the front of the washing machine up on a couple of 4x4 blocks because it looks like that panel needs to go down. So we're adding a hammer to the arsenal because it doesn't want to move easily. We'll call that success. We got the panel off. Now we're down into the bowels of the washer. I suspect the problem is the motor. And the motor should be right. I think that's the motor right there. What I suspect is that it just wore out. What was happening was we only smelled the smoke. We only smelled the electrical smell when it was going through a cycle. You know, when the drum was rotating. So I suspect it's the motor that's the problem. So we got to do some more investigation. You guys can't easily see it. Back behind that plastic guard there is a capacitor for the capacitor start on that motor. Maybe the capacitor is bad. I'm going to pull that guard off so we can take a better look. Good morning, Bear. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, you came out to see what Dad's up to? Kind of giving me the cold shoulder there, aren't you? And that means bringing another tool out because the other screwdriver is too long. We need this little stubby. There's the capacitor in the plastic guard there. It's clipped in. It wasn't such an easy ordeal. 2 screws, you'd think that'd be simple, but I just about stripped one of these little guys here and getting it out. So anyway, it's out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through a cycle, or at least attempt to run through a cycle, see if we can see some smoke or figure out exactly where the smell was coming from. At this point, I'm not 100% sure. I don't see anything obvious, burned or anything. So we need to kind of run it and see what it is doing. So the question is, how are we going to run it through a cycle? Well, I've got a load of shop towels in there. I'm not putting any soap in. We're outside. Got it plugged in. I've got a water source coming in, and I've got it teed so it goes to hot and cold, and then I've got the drain just sitting there so it can drain away and not cause any problems. And the reason we're not doing any soap is because we don't want that water draining out with a bunch of soap in it. So now we're pretty much ready to go. Close the lid, spin it around, turn it on. And I'm not going to make you guys watch a whole cycle here. I will show you if I find something exciting. Well, if it isn't one thing, it's another. See this water here? Yeah, it shouldn't be here. It's leaking from right up there. You can even see it drip occasionally. So how long has that been going on? I don't know. I'm not getting any funny smell from the motor, and the capacitor start didn't do anything funny when it fired off. We've got a little drain pump right here. Is it possible this is where the smell was coming from? And maybe that thing's been leaking, the water's been coming down that line, maybe it's got in there or something. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see when that pump kicks on. As I run through the spin cycle, I've got another leak too. This one's minor, it's just these two parts here, and it's just dripping down. It shouldn't do it, but that's hardly a concern. As I look around, there's another one up here too. This top is probably supposed to be sealed. There's some kind of sealant right in here, and it probably is supposed to go all the way around. So I don't know. What we got to figure out is we've got to figure out if we want to bother fixing that. That one's leaking pretty good. That is a problem. And again, the whole time this thing's been running, I have not smelled anything come from the motor or for this little pump here. So I don't know what to make of that. I'm baffled. I just ran through a complete cycle. I was watching it the whole time. I mean, I basically laid out here for an hour watching every aspect. I didn't find anything significant. I do have a water leak. It's not even that big of a deal, but it does need to be fixed. I mean, because it's, well, you can see how much water is on the ground down here. That's not good, but that's not critical. The pump's working fine, the motor's working fine, the capacitor seems to be working fine, so I don't know. I guess the next step, yep, lid's still locked closed because the cycle just ended, it hasn't unlocked yet. I need to get the drum out of it so I can figure out what the top of that looks like, and because it's leaking around there, and I don't know if it's just a bad seal on the inside or what's going on, but we need to figure that out. So we'll check on that later, but right now I need to do some lawn mowing. We're now the next day. Now we need to figure out how to get the inner drum out of the outer drum. I don't know. I do know that this thing here unscrews, so that's good. It took a little finagling. This piece is loose. That comes out. And what do I see? I see we've got some bolts down there. And a lot of crud too. That's pretty ugly. Alright, let's get those bolts undone. Let's see if our 18 volt little impact has enough oomph. You bet. Tight quarters. Alright. With the bolts out, the drum still doesn't want to budge. I suspect it's just stuck, but what's interesting is you look down in here, all those are filled with dirt, and as I move it around a little bit, I can see that there's a screen there, and all of them, all the way around, are just completely filled. Obviously that's not a good thing, and probably somewhere in the owner's manual it tells you you're supposed to take this apart and clean it or something. It's never been done. I was just looking at some YouTube videos, and apparently I'm not quite doing it right here. So it looks like I need to remove these two bolts here, and then the whole assembly slides off. And if that's the case, then I didn't need to pull those bolts. Let me try that. One of these things is not like the other. Yeah, one of them broke. That can't be good. The good news is that this is the side that's not broke, this is the side that's broke, but it's coming out. It was only threaded in this portion here, so it's just being disagreeable, but there we go. All right, now in theory the drum should lift off. We'll see. She don't want to budge. All right, I'm gonna spray some PB Blaster down there. I think what's happening is that this piece here, this ring, is just a slip fit over this shaft. It's been here a long time. It's just corroded. So hopefully if I get some PB Blaster down in there, it'll loosen things up. This whole assembly is just supposed to lift straight off of here. So PB Blaster, and I'm going to move on to other projects in the meantime. I lied. I'm using Kano's Aero Coil. This stuff is supposed to be good. I've had mixed results with it, but we'll see. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and I've got an invitation to go play in the mountains with a couple guys, so I'm going to do that. So that means we need to get the UTV, the back of it cleaned up. Need to get the trailer hooked up to the truck and get everything loaded up. And part of that is going to be a little Ryobi chainsaw right there. The chain needs sharpening. What's up, little Bailey? How you doing, little girl? Hmm? All hooked up and ready to load. That was the easy part. Here on Procrastination Garage, there's always two ways to accomplish a project.
One is the right way, and then there's my way, which may or may not be the right way. In this case, we're taking a shortcut. We're using this little portable Dremel tool and a Dremel bit that is designed, can you see that? Not in focus very well, that's for doing chainsaws teeth. So I've got that all mounted up. And then I've got a Sharpie. So what we'll do is we will mark a tooth, and then we will come in and we will we'll do every other cutting surface, and then we'll reverse and do every other cutting surface the other way. So stand by and watch as I do a couple. Mark that bad boy right there. And then, actually, prefer to have my headlamp for just a little extra light in here. And where are we? That one right there. I've gone all the way around going on the teeth in both directions, so we're calling it done. Now, a professional saw sharpener, he's just cringing right now, and probably rightly so. And I should get better. I should learn the proper way of doing it, and I should do it right. Chains for this chainsaw are pretty cheap. It's almost easier just to replace it when it gets dull. But again, I should learn the right way. I bought a file set. Unfortunately, it's not for the smaller saw, it's for my bigger saw. And I've never really used it. And then I also know they've got that little thing that just clips on, and then you just kind of screw them in. I see it advertised all the time, and some people swear by them, some people swear at them, so I don't know what the answer is. But this will be probably good enough. The one thing I've learned is that my technique is such to where when I get through, sometimes my saw does not cut straight anymore. It'll cut in an arc. And so what that means is that I sharpen the teeth on one side better than the other, or sharpen one side worse than the other, but either way, it's not good. And I've never really figured out which side is which and how to do it better. But all we're using this saw for is if a tree's down across the trail, we just need to get out of the way. And for that, this should work okay. All right, let's move on to something else. A while back off of Amazon, I bought this nice little soft-sided chainsaw case. My Ryobi didn't come with any case at all, so this works good. It's got a nice little pocket on the side. Inside of it I keep some splitting wedges, and then I've got some extra chains and a couple of tools. That all goes in there. And then inside there's enough room to keep some bar oil, a little quart. And the problem right now is that I'm not sure you can see it. You can see a little bit of glimmer down in there. That's a bunch of bar oil that came out of the chainsaw. So before we put everything back, I'm going to clean that out, using some brake cleaner and a rag to clean it all up. The nice thing about this little case is that inside the plastic bottom, it has a little over an inch high area all the way around, so it keeps any oil from getting up on the fabric. That's a nice touch. There's the chainsaw back in the bag. It also comes with a plastic guard, although I had one I'd already bought for it. So, and then like I said, the quart of bar oil, it fits in here pretty snug so it won't tip over. What I should do is I should get a couple more of these little quart containers and fill them with mixed gas and keep them in here now, because as it is I have to carry a separate gas can. The back end is cleaned out good enough. I kind of have a rule. I try not to wash things or clean them up too good if they're going to be used out in the woods or wherever. It just kind of wastes my time. So what do I take when I go to the mountains to play? Well, always have a high lift jack, just in case I need to get unstuck or whatever else I can use it for. The UTV has a winch on the front. Good to have a chainsaw, and then I always bring my 18-volt reciprocating saw and a couple of batteries, and I've got a spare blade for it. I've got an axe, which I actually found on the side of the road. I've got a handsaw, because sometimes it's just quicker to do that. And then I've got a shovel. There's my poop bucket, which is a nice little toilet seat that sits on top of a 5-gallon bucket. Inside is toilet paper and some liners that are biodegradable. I also bring a trash bag or two, usually good to have two, and then I've got some of these pickup sticks for picking up trash and stuff, because you know what, somebody's got to keep the woods clean, to keep it open for everybody. And then, of course, I've got the gas for the chainsaw, since I've got the chainsaw long. I've got a full complement of tools stashed on here that stay on board all the time. And then when I pack for the day, I make sure I have a jacket and a sweatshirt and some stuff to start a fire, just in case. And I always have my lunch with me, and I bring enough food to last me at least overnight. So that's it. I'm going to pack all this stuff in the back and then get the UTV loaded and be ready to go. All right, let's get the thing loaded. The trailer tire should be at 50 psi. The front UTV tire should be around 10 and the rear around 14. And I suspect that that's low, and the left front one looked kind of low. I'm not sure about these, but we're going to check them and air them up as needed. There's the trailer tire sitting about 35, so we definitely need to air it up. That's good. Right front UTV was right at 10, that's good. And right rear at 14, so those two are good. The left trailer tire is about 34, so it needs some air too. You know, I don't think I've put air in either one of these tires since I changed the tires last summer on it, so I guess it's no surprise. Checking the spare too, and it's down under 30, so it's a good thing we're checking these. Strapped down and ready to go. Mount Rainier off in the distance. This is Bear Lake. That's what the map says anyway. An interesting feature here, the water is coming out of the lake and just disappearing down in the ground. It's all uphill from here. Maybe we'll call this Bear Lake 2. I'm guessing this is where that water ends up. I think I found it. There's some water draining in from somewhere. Funny.
We had a great day in the mountain yesterday, and I even picked up a bag of trash. That's a wrap for episode 13 of Procrastination Garage. So what did we do this week? Well, we tore into a washing machine that had been sitting on the patio for over 2 months, and we're trying to figure out if we should fix it or send it down the road. I'm still working on getting the drum out of it. I found a YouTube video that showed a method using a couple of 2x4s and some threaded rod. So we'll try that in the next video. Also got the UTV ready to go out in the woods and play, and then we went out and played for a little bit. And we saw a couple cats come and go, and I guess that was about it. I hope you enjoy the content of Procrastination Garage. And remember, the channel's about me getting out and getting projects done in a timely fashion, or just getting them done at all. And I hope you'll come along for the ride. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope it motivates you to work on some of your projects. So I hope you'll like the video. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you tell your friends. And down in the comments, tell me what projects you're procrastinating on. Remember, my name is Matt. This is Procrastination Garage, and we'll see you next week.